That's right, Sideline Sports. We're everywhere. And this is another Sunday evening, fabulous Sunday evening. I am your moderator, Denzel Snipes, and welcome to another episode of Basketbros, where we cover throwback basketball from 2000 on back. And we got a jam-packed show, some awesome topics, worthy of discussion. So before we begin, let's get the gang in here. First and foremost, residing in Atlanta, Georgia, from right outside of Chicago, resident Bears fan. Also, he is on Confidential as well. He is the pundit's pundit, the pundit champion, your mom's favorite pundit, your mom's favorite pundit, and your mom's cousin favorite pundit. Give it up for Jacob Christner.
I am also Airbnb's favorite pundit right now.
Absolutely. If only you could get some stock. I actually saw something interesting. Something interesting yesterday. Did you know that if you owned 10 Airbnbs and made $8,000 a month, you would average 1 million a year?
I'll have to remember that.
Yeah. And coming in second right behind him from the other sea town, he resides in Charlotte, North Carolina, by way of Connecticut. Not Frank's son, or maybe he's his illegitimate son. I don't know. But it's DJ Willie V, Big Willie style. Bogo, come on in here.
I'm still waiting to hear back.
He's trying.
I'm still hearing back from the DNA results place. They said give him a few weeks, and I said
no. He only knows he's not Frank's son because he keeps getting on 23andMe. And he keeps trying.
Hey, you got plenty of time to keep it going, But hey, let's roll right on into it. And our first topic is our Basketbros Legend Review, Irvin Magic Johnson. I am so glad y'all picked this dude because he is in my top 5 players of all time. He is my favorite point guard of all time. There has been not a better. LeBron. I got LeBron second, but even then, there's just a considerable gap between him and Magic Johnson as far as passer of the basketball. I know Jacob and even Will would agree. This man was Peyton Manning before Peyton Manning, but the basketball version.
The biggest thing I had is the one thing that annoys me on social media, anywhere whatsoever, is when you have a comparison check with, with the point guards of now and then like with Magic Johnson, especially with Steph Curry. Now, we keep saying this about Steph Curry, greatest shooter of all time. Not a real point guard. Not a real point guard. Not on that case. Not in this era, not anything. So
we've been in agreement that Steph Curry is a one guard masquerading as a two. But go ahead.
Yes, and it's like, the biggest thing about Magic was the fact that he could play easily all 5 positions. He did that one time in 1980 to get 42 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. He got all that. But I think there was also a little comparison, by the way. They were saying, and I was actually reading this and I was looking it up on this too. There was a moment where during the draft time and everything like that, there was a possibility of Boston drafting Magic. So the possibility of Bird and Magic on the same team. Now, let's put it to you this way. This is what we do on NBA 2K22, 23, whatever. We put these dream matchups on there. But see, in the 90s, that might have been completely and utterly awesome because the league would have been saved by that point anyway. In the 80s, it would have probably ruined the league because you needed Bird and Magic together. You needed them together. And it's like you needed that. Not you didn't need them together. You needed them apart. You needed them facing each other. You needed that rivalry. So Boston absolutely dominates the league. They win 9 titles with those two together. And there's no question. And there's no other competition. So it's over.
Absolutely. Before you continue on, just a touch upon his highlights, and he's got a storybook. 5-time NBA champion, 3-time Finals MVP, 80, 82, and 87. 3-time NBA Most Valuable Player in 87, 89, and 90. Crazy how he won in 1990, and the next year he retired. But you know what? I want you to kind of sit on this question, Jacob. While I continue with his accolades, is how many more years do you think he had left had he not retired from announcing that he had HIV? Continuing on, I'll give you a little minute to think about it. 12-time NBA All-Star, 2-time All-Star Game MVP, 9-time All-NBA First Team, All-NBA Second Team in 82, All-NBA Rookie Team 1980, 4-time Assist Champion, 83, 84, 86, and 87, 2-time Steals Leader. Also, he's a Lifetime Achievement Award winner 2019. He's the NBA Anniversary Team 50th and 75th. Number 32 retired by the Los Angeles Lakers. And then in college at Michigan State, NCAA champion 1979. That's why I found it interesting that he won literally a national title and an NBA Finals in back-to-back years. NCAA Final Four Most Outstanding Player, consistent team All-American in 1979, second-time All-American in 1978, third-time All-American in 1978, two-time first team All-Big Ten, number 33 retired by Michigan State Spartans. And he has, let's see here, he has career 17,707 points. That's good for 19.5 points per game. 6,559 rebounds, good for 17.2 rebounds per game. And 10.141 assists. That's good for 11.2 assists per game. The man was a walking double-double before it was even cool. So with that being said, how many more years do you think he would have had he had not announced that he had HIV?
3 good years, 5 total. Because his knees were starting to get shot by that point. Remember, in the Dream Team, we all talk about Bird missing games. Magic missed 3 himself. His knees were going shot. So it's like, that's the thing. 5 total, but 3 good years, and that's what the thing was. Yeah, it would have been. So you got to remember, he tried to play last time in like '96, and he was well overweight, still doing well, but everybody else was just so much faster. They were so. It's like, let me put it to you this way. Let's use a wrestling reference for a second. Okay. Look at, if you ever saw the things that we were talking about today with Booker T, you couldn't have Booker T wrestling 300 days a year. But look at him right now. Look how amazing he looks right now. But he looks that amazing because he's not out there 300 days a year. And he looks amazing because he still has flexibility. He still has all that, but he tears it. Menzies out there 300 days a year. He's going to tear his quads up. He's going to tear his hamstrings up. He kicks all the time. So, and you can't be doing that at 55 years old. So, it's the same with Magic. It's like he plays out there long enough, his knees are going to just shoot down. It's just what happens with age.
Yes, absolutely. And, I remember having a conversation with one of my best friends when the Lakers got Lonzo Ball. And, everybody remembers the hype was on him so heavy. And I remember telling him, because he was a Lakers fan, and I said, if you really sit back and think about it, Lonzo Ball does not need to be the superstar that everyone perceives him to be, even though he's the number one.
That's his dad. That's his dad.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another conversation. But I told him, I said, all he needs to do is be a point guard, just be a distributor. I said, look at Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson's career points per game was 19.5, which is still pretty damn good for a point guard. However, he was only the third scoring option on his team. The first scoring option was Kareem. The second was Worthy. So, with that being said, and even by 80s standards, late 70s standards, you got a guy that's averaging 19, 20 points a game, and the crazy part, and me and you have talked about the quote unquote tragic Johnson game and how that ended up with the Boston Celtics winning that series. But the next season, the Lakers got their get back after the Memorial Day Massacre. The Lakers won in, what was it, 6 or 7 games? I think it was 7, right?
6.
It was 6. It was 6.
Yep. Was 6.
That's right. The previous year went 7. Yep. So, Will, what about your thoughts on Magic Johnson?
Man, I love Magic Johnson like you. He's definitely in my top 10 players of all time. He is also my favorite point guard of all time. Top 5 Laker, definitely in history. You got Kareem, Shaq, Kobe, Magic, Will, anybody. It's interchangeable, but he has to be in there. I loved watching on YouTube and NBA TV, like rewatching the title game between him and Bird in college was just outstanding. Their NBA history together, how it didn't stop in college. It went from college to NBA. It went from Indiana State, Michigan State to Lakers, Celtics. And everyone thought, they must hate each other. But they actually had a lot of respect for each other, and they are best friends. Mm-hmm. A good group. They're good friends, really good friends, and always speak highly of each other. And honestly, I think it's the best player against player rivalry in NBA history, honestly. Magic Johnson, like Jacob said, that guy could play 1 through 5. And I'm so sick of the LeBron versus Jordan comparisons. And I get it. LeBron's not as good passer as Magic, but look at Magic. LeBron and Magic, they can rebound, they can pass, they can assist. So LeBron is kind of Magic. He is not Jordan. He's like Magic, a lesser extent of Magic, who could probably get who gets more rebounds than Magic, but still, nothing but respect for Magic. He is definitely my favorite point guard of all time.
Yeah, and just to look at some of the numbers in 1990. Now, mind you, and Jacob, we've talked about this.
Yeah.
This was the year, the 90-91 Lakers, when they kind of limped to the finals, because they were injured, and the fast break Showtime Lakers were getting old and injured. But even in that season, Magic played the following. He averaged 37.1 minutes. You talk about a guy's knees getting shot but still putting in work. 19.4 points. Field goal percentage was 47.7. He averaged 7.0 rebounds and 12.5 assists. This is for a man who was on the downside of his career.
Well, let me say this too. And people think I'm nuts when I say it, but I absolutely bring this. At certain moments, Bird was the better passer and Magic the better shooter in there. And I'm going to say this. It's like because Magic had a specific. That was so crazy he left, but still. but the thing is, Magic would step up and pop, and it was in. That did hit out all twine. There would be, now mind you, when Bird was hot, there was no better anywhere he wanted. Do not get me wrong, but Magic, there was just specific areas, and then Bird would have his bad days. There were just specific times. Magic's just a better shooter, but at the same time, there was also something to say about the passing. That Magic made the easy pass look amazing, and Bird made the hard pass look, the hard passes look easy.
Right.
So it's like everybody talks about Bird's shooting in history. They talk about Magic's passing, this facilitating. They talk about all that, but it's been opposite in certain parts. When you go to highlight films, you go to everything, you look at shooting, he's very underrated as a shooter. Magic,
absolutely.
Especially 19 feet. He stepped outside the threes. He just popped that area. If he got the arc, it was in. Mind you, it said 47%, but he didn't shoot as much as Larry did. But he could. But it was like, I feel like if those two had they talk about the Bird and Michael. If they talk about the Bird and MJ ad with the horse, to see who does, I'll shoot you for it.
Right.
I feel like that would be Bird and Magic.
It absolutely would. And keep in mind before you continue, his best statistical season, points-wise, was 19. I'm looking at it. It's 1986. He averaged 23.9 points per game, and his field goal percentage was 52.2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the thing. That was the thing about Magic is there's a reason he could play all positions because he could shoot too.
Yes.
He could shoot also. He could shoot out from anywhere. But you remember he was facilitating the ball. Guy was 6'8", 6'9".
6'9".
That's the things to think about for a second.
Yeah. I'm sorry. And to mirror and to compare or even contrast to Larry Bird that same season, Bird averaged 28.1 points per game. His field goal percentage was 52.5.
Sure.
So it literally was a tit for tat shootout between the two that season.
Yeah, like I said this before. That's not an insult on Larry, obviously not. But when you've seen as many games as I have, you know what Magic can do. Right. You know what he could do, and it's like you said, when he could stop and pop, he could be able to do. You got to remember, he was just the point guard. Bird was a small forward. Different positions, everything. See, but here's the thing about Bird. Bird could also take the ball when he was bored. When he was bored, he could take the ball off the court too, and with his left hand.
And this is why you compare them as facilitators, because Magic Johnson was a point guard, yes, but Bird was regarded as the first point forward.
Mm-hmm.
Man who took the ball up court and ran the offense. So that's where you can compare the two as quarterbacks, essentially. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. See, that's where it would have been tough. They brought up the whole deal with the comparison of Bird and Magic. They're on the same team together. Of course, they do win, but but how much fighting would there have been on that? I mean, maybe Bird doesn't fight with his teammates, but really, who gets the ball? Who gets? I mean, does Bird score over 30 points a game? Does he score over 30 with that?
Yes,
But
he still does. Huh? He still does, because at the end of the day, Magic was the third scoring option.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying, does he score that? He does. He does. He scores multiple 30-point games, but he also probably has like 3 assists a game. You got to remember his best season, he had 7 assists a game. Like a 6'10" forward had 7 assists a game. So it's like by itself. So it would have been such a different dynamic.
Right. Will, just a quick question for you, man. Do you think that you could put Magic Johnson in today's era and he would survive? Do you think that? And now, mind you, the game has evolved so much since then. But seeing as, and I mean like Magic Johnson being a Pantheon great, but also in consideration with how the game has evolved and it's changed so much, because it's been 30-something years, almost 40, you know? Do you think Magic Johnson, if you would have put him in today's game, do you think his stats stay the same, they improve, or they go down?
I think they stay the same. I think he's a double-double because Showtime Magic ran the point fabulously. As you could see, those crazy good passes, passing it off to Kareem or Worthy or Cooper or any of his other teammates. That guy was a facilitator like nobody's business. So, yes, I think he'd average a double-double still.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and and going back to what Jacob said, if you were to place him here or there, even if you were to place Magic on the Lakers, the second dynasty with Phil Jackson, he's same numbers. He's still what I think. What I think in both situations is the Lakers just blow out their opponents like even more. Reason being is because once again, Magic will be the third scoring option. First will be Shaq, second will be Kobe.
Exactly. Well, one big thing too is like someone also asked the question: what if you switch and Bird and Magic go to each other's teams, the Lakers or the Celtics? That wouldn't have worked. Number one, Bird left University of Indiana because it was too crowded. Look at Los Angeles. That's number one. They're lucky he stayed in Boston. I mean, that's number one. Number two, Magic wouldn't have lasted a year in that Boston. You got to remember how many black players took off. He would have stayed with Bird because Bird would have made him a friend. Obviously, we see that. But he isn't going to do that alone. He's not staying in Boston alone. Look how many black players left.
And look at the other point guards who were there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really go back and look at the black players on Boston at that time period. You had your Reggie Lewis, sure, you had your Parrish, you had your Dennis Johnson, but those two were just so good. Like, were you really trying to drive Robert Parrish out of Boston?
Well, no. For one thing, look, Robert Parrish would have beat the hell out of you. But I mean,
no. What you're saying is true.
But here's the thing. Also, this is the thing that just made it so darn much easier. And I mean, for one thing, you talk about the Zen master, like with Phil. The ultimate Zen master was Robert Parrish. You just didn't make him. I mean, even his punches to Lambeer were just real calm.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, done. But the thing is, this is the thing in Boston. This is just the truth. I mean, this was the 80s, and they said it. The reason you could have had 11 black players and Larry, and everybody knows Larry. That was Larry's team. There was no doubt, no question. This is Bird's team, so there wouldn't have been complaints from the fans in Boston over that because Bird was the man.
Bird was the man.
But no one could run Robert Parrish out anyway because he was such a quiet. He was not a troublemaker. He was just a quiet dude that did his thing.
Right. And you know what? How many years after? Because Kareem retired in 1989. 89. Okay. So you got to sit up here and think it was only Magic's team for 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
See, his
whole career, it's been Kareem's team.
No, biggest difference between Bird and Magic. Bird was the captain the whole time.
Yes.
Every minute of the time. Magic only 1 or 2 years. Big difference.
A huge difference, yeah, And even then, at the time, again, the Lakers were injured. He himself kind of was, and he still took that team to the finals. So to say that Magic wasn't a leader, that's not fair to say because we didn't see enough time as him as a leader. But in the 1 or 2 seasons where he was the man, they did go to the finals.
Well,
So
the Magic, but the thing was, he was a leader in the press. Biggest difference. Number one, first and foremost, go out in front of the press. Whereas Abdul-Jabbar did not want to do that.
He was not a media guy.
Which is so weird because now he loves talking to the media.
What are you talking about? Which one are you talking about?
Kareem.
Kareem. See, Kareem's more of a professor. He's more of a professor now. He loves talking about books. He loves talking about his essays. He loves talking about different things, social justice.
He is a smart dude.
Yeah, social justice. He talks about all kinds of different things. Out there. He loves going on and bringing, but he's an educator. He's an educator. He is all of our. If we're all three in college tomorrow, we go to a college class. He's a professor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a professor. That's why he likes to talk because it's not that he didn't want to talk to the press. He would have rather the press made some intelligent conversation, which they never did. They still don't.
never did. Yeah.
They still don't.
But you know what? All you got to do is look up a press conference on YouTube or when the season begins with Bill Belichick and look at the way he looks at the press.
Oh, yeah.
And now you understand why Kareem never want to talk to him or Marshawn Lynch or anybody else.
Oh, that's why Ditka was so awesome with the press because he knew they were stupid and he just could treat them stupid.
Yeah, but with some, it's like, well, okay, so you get guys like Ditka and Belichick, they kind of have to be there, Well, Belichick is just so smart, as in like, and the thing is it doesn't even take real, outright smarts. Not saying he's a dumb guy, but he's just like, you know what? Listen, if you're not talking about the game that just ended or the game that's coming up this upcoming week, I don't want to talk about it. And I will go there a whole 3.
Well, for one thing, Ditka absolutely positively knew he was the draw in that press conference. So he treated it as such. He was the draw. Mm-hmm. He was the draw in his commercials. He was the draw in everything. It wouldn't have mattered. So that's what his deal was.
True. Man, we went a little overtime with this topic. We could go all night with Magic Johnson. But I'd like to segue into the next topic. This is a pretty good one. Well, I actually had to do a little digging for this one. But this is players who have changed their play style. And I had to kind of cheat a little bit and go into the 2010s. But I came up with
I did too.
I came up with Chris Bosh. So at Toronto at the age of 19, he was drafted to the Raptors, where he was the man. This is back when he was CB4. He averaged 22.8 points per game, 9.9 rebounds per game, and 1.1 block. He averaged in 09 and 2010, 24 points and 10.8 rebounds, a walking double-double, Then he had to change his play style going to Miami, where he averaged 17.4 points per game, 7.4 rebounds, and he also became a better shooter. But the reason why he changed his play style was because he had to take a backseat to Wade and LeBron. Simple as that. But does that mean that he didn't have an impact?
No. Very.
That's a big 3 for a reason.
He was a good piece on that team. He was the glue.
Yes, he was the glue, exactly. Like he was at that time period what Draymond is now to the Warriors. We're talking about a guy where could Draymond give you 25 points? Could he give you like a double-digit assists and whatnot? He could, but that's not his job.
Yes and no. Yes and no. He's going to have some struggling nights because he's not used to having this to do all those shots in the first place. He could get it at certain points. He have a hot night, but at the same time, it's never been his bag. So there's going to be some struggling nights in between.
It would. It would in theory. I mean, it would be growing pains going from essentially the number 3 guy to the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is
it'd be like Ben Simmons. He's going from a number 3 guy to.
We're not going to put a junior leaguer in this conversation.
You're not.
Will, it was your topic, man.
It wasn't even my topic.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, I wasn't. But I'll go ahead. So Zach LaVine, when he entered the league, everyone was like, "Oh, he's Westbrook. He's Westbrook," and he was. He jumped. He dunked. He had a decent jump shot. And now we see him shooting 3-pointers and mid-ranges. He's still dunking, but he's now more of a shooter than a dunker.
Yeah.
So he had to definitely change his play style. This is a play style / other category. Andre Iguodala, when he was with the Sixers, he was that guy. He was dealing with an older AI, and he was that guy.
Mm-hmm.
When he went to the Nuggets, he was second option, first option, whatever you think.
Mm-hmm.
When he went to the Warriors, he was known as a okay offense. He was coming off the bench. He was more of a defender off the bench.
He was.
AKA winning finals MVP against LeBron.
Which is debatable to this day, but go ahead.
Which is, yes, debatable. And now he's a mentor. So, yeah, he went from scorer to defender to mentor.
Right, and it could be a product of just the teams that he was on. The 2011 Bulls, I believe, that went number 1 seed, and the first round, Derrick Rose tears his ACL, and the number 8 Sixers upset the number 1 Bulls, and that's why I said that Bulls team were frauds, because how are you a number 1 seed? You dominated the East. You lose your best player. I'm not expecting you to go to the finals at this point, but you should at least get past the first round. Or who was on that Sixer squad as the man? Andre Iguodala.
Exactly. And it was a rookie, Michael Carter-Williams.
True. Yep, MCW was on there. But Jacob, who do you have?
Well, I'll say Bird Parrish, absolutely. Bird, first off, he was power forward until McHale came. Then he had to go to small forward. He was actually hitting 20 rebound games sometimes. He had to be under the basket. He had to be under the basket doing most of the rebounds along with doing his job. And then once McHale was there, he didn't do it much anymore. So he got to run offense. So then he was running offense point forward. Parrish, when Bill Fitch was there, he had an old school center mentality with Parrish. And when you would have, he'd be under the basket, wait and dunk, everything like that. Then he ran the floor. Then with Casey Jones, he ran the floor. Ridiculously amount. And the guy was fast for 7 foot, 7'1". Absolutely fast for that time. He did that. I can name you another, absolutely, no question about it, Vince Carter. The dunk legend to 30-foot 3-point guy.
Yeah, 100%.
And then he didn't. He drove. And then the last 4 or 5 years, he didn't drive the lane at all. So
that's what age. That's what age does to you.
And he wasn't bad. And he wasn't bad from 3. He was
pretty good. Yeah, he was pretty good from 3.
Yep.
But going back to Will's point, I'm glad you brought up Vince Carter, because Zach LaVine is in the same boat as essentially Vince Carter was back then, because they're known as like dunk contest legends now. But they didn't want to be known as just that.
And can I say something real quick?
Sure. Go ahead, man.
And it's good Zach LaVine is doing this young in his career before something catastrophic happens to his knee. Hopefully it doesn't, because Vince did it later in his career when he was like late 30s. And I think personally, I know he's a modern player. I think John Morant needs to develop a jump shot, or else
he won't beat Michael in a one-on-one.
It's going to be.
Oh yeah, I saw that earlier.
It's going to be hard.
As far as Morant, I mean, I would, in today's era of bigger players, I would like to see him put on about 10, 15 pounds.
He needs a jump shot, like at least a consistent one, a decent one.
Yes, and another thing is, I mean, with John Morant, in today's era of just bigger players, he has to be able to put on that weight, that muscle, without losing that intensity. Now, good thing is he's like 175, so that will put him at about 190. Is that exactly doing too much? No, not really. And we're not asking the guy to get to 220, but also at the same time, I remember back then the biggest criticism of Derrick Rose was he goes too hard for his own good. I mean, he was like sick driving the lane, and that's what Morant does. We just don't want to see him go so hard that he tears his ACL, and then now he's in the Derrick Rose boat. You know what I mean?
Well, and let me tell you this about Derrick Rose. I'm going to say this really fast. The Bulls. This is probably his last year. So let's be very honest. Okay, this probably is. Get him home. Get him to Chicago. Get him. They never got a proper goodbye with that guy.
They just sent him out. I remember.
They need a proper goodbye with him, a thank you, and we had fun. They need that in Chicago badly, especially when they're getting this close to having their own team. Put him part-time. Help put him part-time with Levine. You could have yourself the Jordan and Gervin that never happened. You know what I mean? You could have that. You could have that situation.
He's the hometown boy, exactly. Bring the hometown kid home.
Hey, another one, by the way, Deshaun Stevenson. He came from getting smoked by LeBron to threaten to slap him. I mean,
that's great.
I mean, you get all those things, and it's like, but see, we talk about these players though, and I could smoke Michael, I could smoke this, I could smoke that. It's like the biggest issue is you got kids. These are kids. It's like here's the deal. You don't hear this era's 30-year-olds say, I could smoke Michael.
Right.
Because you know why? They've had 8 years and 6. They've had 8 years in the league and 6 years to go, get out of bed.
Right.
You know, they are getting constant massages. They're constantly in the PT. They're constantly everything. They already know they take 30, 40 minutes to warm up. They all that stuff. None of them are saying, I'm going to take Michael, especially when Michael was a freak of nature. And he did all that stuff. 22-year-olds, when they've got all the hops in the world, they got all the confidence, they're the ones that say they can whip Michael.
I can't
they're the ones that get that. They just do. And then when their first blown knee injury, they're just going to go into the Bleacher Report and say, I was wrong. I was bad.
I agree.
Where did Jay? What, Jay? What happened? Jay, are you on AOL dial-up again? Jay, time to get on your phone again.
Yeah. I mean,
Jay, you're like an AT&T app.
I don't know.
Jay, get on your phone.
I think he said he's coming right back.
Oh, good.
But
he can go on his,
yeah,
he can find his AOL. He can get his AOL dial-up.
I agree with the Derrick Rose thing. He can be a mentor for like Alonzo.
Well, no, say goodbye. Say goodbye to the Chicago properly. He should have been there all his career to begin with.
Exactly. It's sad.
Yeah, the play styles. See, one of the biggest things about it was the play styles by themselves. Let's just say from the 80s to the 90s, 2000. We only have to say players, the whole league.
Exactly.
You go from rough style to you got rougher styles to a little more perimeter style, or a little more of a run style. Then you get to the perimeter style.
Exactly.
And did he take off on us? Did Dom invite him out for a drink?
No, I think he'll be back. There he is.
I'm here. Okay.
Oh, very
nice. That was the internet issues. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to go to the next topic, and that is Basketbros. What if? What if Isaiah Thomas was on the Dream Team? This is an interesting concept right here because, and I say that because of the year that Isaiah froze out Jordan in the All-Star game. Would the same have happened? I don't think so at all, because everyone else would have been around to kind of, put that in check, because you had so many. It's a Dream Team. You had so many, potential legends, on that squad. People who are already legends that were on that squad. I think they would have quelled that. I still say the United States still.
Chuck Daly was the coach. You there?
Well, yeah, that is true. Yes. But also, I mean, come on now, like a gold medal's on the line.
Yeah. But Chuck Daly was the coach. There's no way he gets frozen out.
Can you hear me? Go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Which one? I mean, me or him?
Jacob.
All right. The answer is, and I'm not doing this to be mean, not at all, but it's kind of a who cares. They're winning anyway. I'm like, they're winning it anyway. I mean, you're literally, if you put any of those five guys and they don't get a break outside of Bird who needed it, they're all winning it anyway. They was the best team in the world. And it's like it's the same with everybody talks about Shaq. They would have won with Shaq, but but Leitner was an amazing college player. So it's really hard because everybody was a facilitator on that team at least once. Mm-hmm. Everyone was a shooter on that team at least once. Everybody ran the ball down the court at least once. Everybody there. It's not like that there was any main deal. So it really doesn't matter. See, the real thing, the only real thing that would have happened was there would have been about 2 weeks of extra. Hey, look, Magic. Hey, look, Michael and Isaiah talk to each other in the locker room. Isaiah, Michael and Isaiah go out. Michael and Isaiah slap each other in the face. It'd be something. You know what I mean? It'd be something. You'd have these headlines, but other than that, it's the same team.
It is.
One more thing. Michael ran into John Stockton's leg, so it broke his leg until the tournament. So you might have had more. Might have had more out of the the point guard spot.
True.
But still.
Yeah, same result. No, I totally agree. I mean, Chuck Daly's the coach, but at the same time, you're talking about literally the best players on the planet. Every time we see Team USA hit the floor, they're winning by at least 25 points every time. Sometimes
43 average. 43.8 average.
43. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 43 points, on average. So, I mean, again, it doesn't make that much of a difference. They win anyway. Will, what do you think?
I agree with you guys. They still win gold. What I want to know is, would have Michael Jordan quit? Would have they been like, you know what? I'm not going to play with this guy. But I don't think he would have. I think he would have dealt with it. And yes, USA still would have won gold. And Isaiah would be with his best friend, Magic Johnson.
He quits if Magic and Larry weren't playing. Then it was Isaiah. He quits. But he wanted one chance of a lifetime to play with those two. And, to get on the starting lineup, they had 2 starting lineups together and dominated their little for the moment. He wanted that time. It's like you get the college game, one moment in time after every champion, which you'll never see with Gonzaga. But I mean, but see, you get the one moment in time deal all the time, and you get that, and it's like that's what Michael wanted. I mean, literally, Michael could say he was on a starting lineup with Magic and Larry. And there could have been, if Larry was hurt or if Magic's knee wouldn't have been good for the thing, that might have been the one thing he missed in his life. But he missed nothing in his life. He got it all. It's like you got shoe.
He won a NCAA championship. He won NBA championships.
6 of them.
He won a gold medal. Like, guys won every level.
Well, he wins every level, but he also got the greatest shoes ever. He got the greatest shoe contract ever. He got. I mean, he's been to like 30 countries. We're talking about life, and it's like there isn't anything that the guy could say I've not done. And it's like, and now you can even say in your life, I'm just saying real quick. Now you can say I've been with Magic, Larry, and Michael. It's been us 3 just for the moment. And they can say that's the super team for real.
He can't say he's done successful owning a team.
Obviously.
No, but he's owned a team is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, he just thinks that he needs to look past his ego, but he's owned a team. That's the big point.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say something else also. I will say that if Michael Jordan and Isaiah were on the same team in 92, Jordan finds a way to stay and make it work. Now, if they still would have had a rift going, if they both would have been invited in 96, Isaiah would have been done anyway. But if in the event he had made it to 96, Jordan probably doesn't play on that squad. Probably not Isaiah either.
Yeah. But the NBA by that point was just so loaded. You got to remember, look how many 2 gold medal players there are. I brought up the 5 that had 2 gold medals. There's many more, obviously, but I was just bringing up 5 of them that last week. Remember? It's like there are so many of them that have 2 gold medals, and it's like they just. And you got to remember, they're 100 since the Dream Team started. They're 138-5.
Yeah.
And I have to give them all kinds of credit because I did not think. I was completely wrong. I did not think they were going to. After losing Nigeria in the warm-ups, after losing everything, which the original Dream Team would have never done. After losing those 2 games in a row, I thought they are smoked. They'll be lucky to get a medal. and they figured it out.
100% agree.
They figured it out, and I'm like, I mean, wasn't it Popovich that was the coach for that team?
I believe so. I believe that was Pop.
I mean, Pop's one of the greatest of all time. I'm like, he knows how to figure things out.
Yep.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so let's see. We're gonna go to our next topic here. This is a great one. I had to actually do some. There's been so many of them, but worst playoff choker of all time. Now, there wasn't necessarily, specifics or criteria for this one. So my guess is we're going player or teams. I went with teams. So for mine, worst playoff chokes of all time, I picked the 2000 Western Conference Finals Game 7. Blazers blow a 15-point lead to the LA Lakers. They missed 12 straight field goals. And then there was the iconic Kobe to Shaq alley-oop. But I still stand by what I said for so many years, and that is if Arvydas Sabonis had not have fouled out, Blazers win that game.
Oh, yeah.
Ball T. Do.
Yeah.
you know where that's going.
Exactly, yeah. And then the second one that I picked was, of course, it's worth mentioning, it's kind of automatic that this gets on the list. But the 1994 Round 1 Western Conference playoffs. The first time ever that a number 8 seed beat a number 1 seed. Number 8 Denver beats number 1 Seattle. And to get into specifics here, the Sonics took game 1 and then took game 2. And then the Nuggets won 3 straight to take the series. So not only were they a number 1 seed, they had a 2-0 series lead and needed one more to finish, So it's debatable which one was a bigger choke, probably the one in 94. However, it's worth mentioning that the 2000 Blazers squad could have stopped the Lakers dynasty from starting. But what do you got, Jacob?
As I said, ball, boom, you know better. But I'm going to try to think of something else because we already know how many dang times he's blown it. But, in truth, let me tell you this. Game 6 in Boston Garden this year. Game 6 Boston Garden against Miami. Because that's where you could have been in Boston Garden, Larry Bird giving you the trophy. His inaugural trophy. True. And they bomb it. And it's like, yeah, they took game 7. Don't get that wrong. But I'm like, this is your chance to get the legend in Boston. It used to be Fleet Center, but it's what's it called there now?
TD Garden.
TD Garden.
Thank you. You could have had him in Boston. You could have had he didn't go to Miami, but you easily could have had him in Boston. The legend, everything, giving you your trophy, his inaugural trophy, and that was kind of blown. You have Boston blowing it again way before that when LeBron with Miami took that when he took over the game, which I have to admit. I mean, is why I get frustrated with LeBron because he has the moments. He has the when he doesn't have the moments and he doesn't have the killer instinct. But there's those times like in Detroit, he has those moments. And it's like you get to that and. The thing is, when I think of complete choke, I go to a different sport here. It's like you think of the 86 Bears at home when they had it all going for them. You have to think of those types. I mean, and then you had to go and then you just had too many mistakes going at once. There's just so many options, so many things. How just any team that's been 3-1, it's been their screw up. 3-1. We could easily say Golden State when they're 73-9.
Yep, that is true.
73-9, that's a choke. And I'm not going to, like I said, Harden is way too easy. He is way too easy. It's like, I mean, the only reason, like I said, ball, bam, and it's because I'm only on social media 27 hours a day putting Harden cracks on there. So I don't need to say that.
Give him a break.
But what'd you say?
Give him a break.
Yeah. And it's like, so I got to think of something different. But let me do an addendum on him for a second on this, okay? If everybody was, and I'm just saying this, if he wanted to impress him, he took $15 million away from his contract, okay? If he was to have something true Make him not a third choice, make him a fifth choice. See how much he wants it.
Right.
On the thing, because if they, like I said, I have said this forever. If Sam Cassell, I'm not going to call it what he's got now. If Sam Cassell's going to be that coach, not Doc. Just being truthful.
Oh wow.
And if Sam Cassell can get Harden to play hard and play rough, get on the floor, wipe it up, and play his ass off for a title, just give him a 10-year automatic contract. Any team he wants for the rest of his darn leg, because that is the most impossible thing to get him to win a ring. It is the most impossible to get his head unclenched in the big moments. It is the most. People have tried every 1,000 way whatsoever to get it, and then he still blows in, still goes to a strip club. It's like that is just what happens. If you can get him focused, and we know his talent, we know it. If Sam Cassell gets him focused,
he's regarded the best ISO player. Like, period.
I have told you I've never doubted his talent. My issue is he just will not unclench himself, and it's like, and then it looks like he's Jay Cutler and doesn't care. I'm saying if Sam Cassell can figure it out, it's the same with me, like with Nate McMillan and Trey. You figured this sucker out, you might as well just get a job for life because you know what you're doing.
James Harden is right now who Peyton Manning was before he won his first ring.
I think Peyton Manning cared more. I think Peyton Manning cared more.
He did, but what were the results before he won his first ring?
No, you're correct. But I think Peyton Manning cared more. He took in the. I mean, you weren't seeing Peyton Manning going out to strip clubs and parties after the thing when you blown it. That's my point. Peyton cared more. He was probably locked in his room for 3 days after missing those. But the thing was, I am paying as much jokes as I'm making on there. I am paying full attention to Sam Cassell right now, and seeing where if you can get him to wipe up the floor, play his heart out, the ISO player, do that stuff like that, really take a back seat to somebody and play team and win a ring, forget it. He gets 30 years like Phil Jackson. Now, I'm not kidding with that. I mean, whether it's assistant, whether it's coach, whether it's anything you do, you figured out the impossible.
Right on. Will, who you got, man? Worst playoff choke or choker of all time. Could be a team, could be a player.
Okay, so I got two teams and then one player. Warriors blow a 3-1 lead.
Okay.
Second, Reggie Miller gives the choke sign to the Knicks.
Oh,
6
man.
points.
I almost picked that one, but I was like, you know what? I think Will or Jacob's going to pick that one, so I'll let you get it.
Well, the Knicks have done this for 30 years. They absolutely positively are the only team in history, and thank you for that, Will. They're the only team in history that has foes. Started from Bird, then went to Jordan, then went to Miller, and they coach to Trey now, and there's been a couple others. They get foes. They never beat the foes. They never vanquish the foes, and the foes just go on their way. They are the only team that does this year after year, decade after decade. For some reason, the Knicks just don't vanquish anybody.
Okay. And I've got LeBron to J.R. Smith giving him the hand gesture. What are you doing?
Man.
That was LeBron James in golf.
The one where I think didn't he need to do?
He passed it wrong.
He passed it to the wrong. He was like this. He was like, "Come on, man."
Yeah,
so, that's my play.
I mean that right there, and then also another one that's worth bringing up is game. What was it? Game 1? Yes, it was game 1 of the 1995 finals. Down the stretch, Nick Anderson missed a series of free throws that could have put the game away. The Olajuwon-led Rockets actually erased. I think it was a 13-point deficit, and that's why he earned the nickname Nick the Brick Anderson. But he missed all 4 free throws. Smith made it 3 to send the game to overtime. Houston won 120-118, and that was the beginning of the sweep. That game, I remember like watching that game, and I was like, wow, like we might not be a match for the Magic. And then it was like the Magic quit playing ball.
Yeah.
Well, they were happy to be there.
Here's the college.
Young guys happy to be there.
Here's the college one real quick. I'm sorry to say this. I'm a Tar Heel fan, and I feel bad for the dude, but Chris Webber calling the timeout, and when they didn't have it, sorry, Dom, but
there was,
I
I mean,
I got a
yeah,
worse one for you, dude. Adam Morrison crying his ever-living butt off when the UCLA took 7 points in 8 seconds off of Gonzaga. And then they not only did he cry, choke, went like a little bee, if you will. Thank you, Eric. I remember you about the cussing. When he went like that, then the final 3-point shot was taken by a center that never did anything. He was never anywhere but under the basket, and he took the 3, which went off the top of the backboard.
Wow.
So I'm like, if you have to look on YouTube to find that. Adam Morrison, the ultimate choke, crying when the game wasn't over.
Yeah, absolutely, and that one right there, and it's just kind of what Gonzaga's like that they're the almost team. They're good for giving you 25 plus wins a season. You know, they go on this run to get to at least the Elite Eight, perennial favorites for the Final Four. How come throughout history they just could not close the deal?
Well, I can tell you this. It's kind of like Appalachian State beating Michigan in 07 in Michigan. You have your Appalachian State winning, but were they going to go into the Big Ten and sweep them all? No. You get your moment. You get your moment in time. You know, it's like Gonzaga might be one of, and I was thinking maybe they had themselves a shot this year, but Gonzaga is one of those teams that just might have to, you know what I'm saying? They might just have to get themselves into a conference and struggle for a couple of years to learn.
Exactly, I agree.
But that's the thing. Well, okay, so you're saying that they should go from the West Coast Conference, the easier conference, or WAC, wherever it is. They should join a major conference and go through the growing pains of consistently playing better competition in order to get it, because seemingly they're flying through their conference. That much is obvious. They get to the tournament, but see, the thing about it is this, though. They get to the tournament, and they're playing teams that they don't play on a consistent basis, you know? And they get to the Final Four. They get to the Elite Eight. You know what I mean? It just seems like the door shuts right there. Or they get to the national title game, the door shuts right there. You know? So would it have made it? I'm sorry, I'll let you. Would it have made a difference, that much of a difference, if they joined a major conference?
Not for the first couple of years, but after that, absolutely. I mean, you're playing proper teams at all time. I'm like, it's kind of like I had the alma mater named Lee University. They actually they gave Auburn one crazy heck of a time. They had 3 exhibition games. They gave them a heck of a time. They beat Hawaii and actually beat them in the buzzer. Then they lost another one in a close game. After that, they didn't get any more exhibitions because they were an NAIA school giving these teams trouble. And it's like, but at the same time, it would have been like dead last if they would have gone into the conference. I mean, you get your moment. You get your moment in the sun. Mark Few's a great coach, but you need reps. You need reps. You need reps. You need reps. You need reps against the big boys. And it's like, there is a reason that you are not. I mean, you had your moment with Butler getting to the final. Right. You had your moment. You had that, and they almost made it. But there's a reason McNeese State is not in the final. There is a reason. University of Maryland, BC, or whatever county, the Baltimore County. There's a reason University of Maryland, Baltimore County got one, and then got one big game against Virginia, and then lost the next game against a winnable team. And it was because they were hitting lights out from 3 the first game and hit nothing in the second. Right. And it's like, there's a reason you don't have the reps for that. And it's that's just what happens. There's levels. There's levels.
Now, keep in mind, you got the George Mason Patriots that ran to the Final Four. If I'm not mistaken, they made the national title game, you know, but they are the exception and not the rule. Agreed?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, but that's what I was saying, bringing up Butler, too. You know, nearly winning on a half-court shot. But
they're rimmed out. They almost knocked out Duke.
I know. But it's like, those are the things, though. It's like, you gotta, but it's like, to be able to win, it's like tennis. Okay, you're the 150th in the world, and you just caught Roger Federer on a really good day. You never missed, and you got him. But guess what? He's winning the next 9, and he's making you look bad while doing it. It's just reps. The reason you lose like that when you're at the top because you are human. But but the really best ones will win the next 9.
Yeah, that's true. Now, also, since you want to bring up tennis, you got the Osakas. That's Osaka, right? The one that knocked out Serena Williams.
Right.
But one could say she's on the downslide of her career. As a matter of fact, it's said, and you know what? It's been said that Osaka is a younger Serena.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and she is. The biggest issue is the fact that you could also say Serena had, we're looking back at hindsight now. You could say Serena was stronger mentally than Osaka. But no, there's a monstrous difference. Serena allowed herself to scream at officials, allowed herself to threaten people. Do I agree or disagree with it? No. I'm not agreeing with what I'm saying. But here's the thing. When she got it out, it wasn't embedded in her. She's just a big, muscular woman. She's just a big, muscular woman that is threatening with the media, threatening them, threatening the official, doing everything. She's getting it out. That's why she stayed long, because she got it out. Osaka's way of doing it is listening to somebody about not smiling ever, which it's not helping, because it's like, maybe that sounds like some kind of activism thing or whatever, but that's the only thing. She's held everything in, and then she keeps losing in tournaments or backing out of them. She can't take pressure. She can't give it. She doesn't give it back the way Serena does. She doesn't feel the same boat. And it's like, if anything changed, would she handle it? And those are the points I make.
Right. No, absolutely. And and Will, you'll agree with me on this one. Going back to the point with Jacob, with having, being in a conference with the big boys, and that's how North Carolina is such a success, because consistently the ACC is the toughest conference, and they're constantly going against the Dukes and the Syracuses and the Virginias and the Virginia Techs and the Florida States. So Will, I'm sure being a Heels fan.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we go against these guys like every week. Like, we play Duke 2 times a year. Virginia is always a great basketball school. Duke's always a good powerhouse basketball school. Syracuse has played well. Notre Dame is slowly on the rise. Like, the ACC is no slouch at all.
Not at all. Well, within the go ahead.
One more thing, real quickly. There's a reason we were up Pat Summit. There's a reason she got to the Final Four 17 times and got 8 rings. There's a reason for this. And it's because game 1 would always be Stanford. Game 2 would always be Louisiana Tech. Game 3 would always be, these powerhouses, Duke. Then game 4 would be North Carolina. There weren't any handouts. Hand me that. There wasn't. There's no.
No, and North Carolina almost lost to Wofford the other year. Like, Wofford's not great, but they challenged us.
Yeah, they did.
Go ahead. I think we can slip in our last topic for a few minutes.
Yeah, we got about probably a minute or 2 left, but just really quick, and this is a last minute edition. My apologies, I was kind of late pre-show, but this is just really quick. It's a retro game review. NBA Live 95. Now, Will, I don't know if you're a 2K player, but you can relate, because this was the predecessor right here. This was the first ever NBA Live. Just a few highlights of the game or features. This is the first game with the create a team option, to where you can create a fictional team and it's yours. You name it and everything. They also had the turbo button, so they can have a burst of speed, maybe driving to the net or getting down court on a fast break. And also they had a T meter for free throws. So much like the meter on Madden, whenever you kick a field goal, they had that same meter for shooting a free throw. It was a T meter. So like you had to align it, and then it's like boom, and then it went up and down, boom, and then they shot the ball. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I did some research a few minutes ago on the show, the game. And also it's the first game you can make your own player.
Yep.
And it's the first game without Charles Barkley.
Yes, it was due to the retired players of the NBA.
And he's still not in games to this day.
Nope, no, he is not. Jacob, your thoughts on NBA Live? First ever?
It was, for one thing, I've never been a driver, so I never really used the speed button. Never did, because I was never a driving guy. I was always the shooting guy. And I had the worst time with that stupid free throw until I'd say for the first few games. And then I finally figured it out and never missed. But I think the biggest thing I always had a problem with those first ones was just the jersey. It was always felt like one of those 90s shows with the numbers on front, no team and no name on the front. Every one of those that always drove me nuts. It's like, who are you? It's like, is this a show Hang Time? Where
yeah, you had to know the players. So obviously, if you picked the Rockets, number 34 is Elijah Wan. If you picked but I mean that game. It was the Godfather, the predecessor to so many games nowadays, and even though NBA Live was EA, 2K came from it. And 2K essentially got the baton, or they snatched the baton from the NBA Live series, but all of this was due to NBA Live. I know we covered even the predecessor to NBA Live, the Bulls versus Blazers, the Bulls versus Lakers, Bulls versus Celtics Lakers games, and all that on the old Famicom, NES, and Genesis, but NBA Live 95 definitely, most definitely a staple gaming time. But we are at the 1 hour mark. In fact, we're at 1 hour and 1 minute. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to Basketbros. And Jacob, let everyone know where we can find you.
Monday night on the ultimate Megan Price's, the NBA Gauntlet during the season. I cannot wait to see where I've got this year. Planning my way on another show where I'm working on a couple. I'm planning my way on another, so we're staying busy. Tuesday night's Confidential, which we're really talking about some winning teams, I'm telling you. Thursday night, Pundit. Hope you're with us, Jay, because we got some amazing topics again, and we're going to work on that wrestling one.
Yes, absolutely.
And then Sunday nights here, and then with Will and everybody else. So we're working it.
All right. Will, where can we find you, man?
Monday night, NBA Carousel during the year. Thursday nights, the Sip-Off. Saturday nights, I'm occasionally on the Gauntlet. Sunday nights here. I will actually be out of town next week, but I will still appear on the show. I will just be in a different location. I'm going to be on the coast of Boston.
Nice. All right. Well, again, like to thank everybody for joining in. And this is Basketbros. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen. Later.
Thank you.